Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and this is the Arylic S10 Plus little streaming preamplifier. This is about a $70 US unit. This was sent to me directly from Arylic. They have asked nothing in return other than a fair and honest evaluation and have made no attempt to influence my opinion on this piece or any other. The Amazon link that you will see below where you can buy this will be an affiliate link. So if you like what I have to say about this product and want to support the channel, please consider using that affiliate link and I will get a small kickback. And I only use affiliate link money to keep the channel running. This is an interesting little piece that I don't know will be for audiophile use, but I think is a great option if you have a family and you've got some systems around your house that you want to be able to connect a bunch of streaming services to, or Bluetooth or that sort of thing. And that's where I think this unit really shines. And so I'm going to talk about that from an overhead view here right after shameless self-promotion.
Hello. I'm one of the reasons that Wave Theory can't spend all of his money on audio gear. He wants you to know that your support is vital for keeping the channel running. So if you enjoy Wave Theory's bussin' review riz and no-cap review style and want to encourage him to stay in the basement so I don't have to listen to his dad jokes as much, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also send him a donation on PayPal or sign up for the Patreon. Links are in the description. Now on to the review.
All right, we'll do an overhead view like this because it's a small unit and I can show you the features better this way. And on the subject of features, the S10 Plus is loaded. For a $70 unit, the amount of features and options they packed into here is quite impressive. It's an entry-level piece, so I mean, we shouldn't expect a whole lot of like sonic excellence. It does sound decent, but I'm going to drop right here that I don't think this is the entry-level solution for audiophiles for audiophile use. That does not mean that this is without its merits. I think this is a really good piece to like be something that the whole family can access. For example, and this is how I plan to use this in my house going forward, assuming I get to keep it, which usually these entry-level pieces like this I do. So assuming that's the case, I have a use for this. In my kitchen at my house here, there is, we have a speaker system. I've got a couple of old Acoustic Research bookshelf speakers up on top of the cabinet. Those are powered by a now older SMSL Q5 Pro little DAC and speaker amp combo, which currently had been connected via optical to an old monoprice Bluetooth receiver. Notice I've used the word old in there a bunch. That Bluetooth receiver has done very well for several years, but every now and then we get some signal breakups, some difficulty connecting to it, and then also the range is limited. If you have it connected to your phone and you put the phone in your pocket while you're working in the kitchen and then you're like, oh, I need another can of beans from the basement, you run down there and you go down to the basement, it loses the Bluetooth connection to that old Bluetooth receiver. This unit is likely to replace that Bluetooth receiver. Why? Well, let's start with the feature list. One, it connects via Wi-Fi and LAN if you want. Okay, so it is the option of a wired streamer. It does still do Bluetooth. As I said, options. Okay, let's dive into them. Okay, connects via Wi-Fi. There is Bluetooth, which supports like all the latest codecs on it. You can use the line-in input. You can use this as these options didn't show up as well here, but you can use these as a USB DAC or connect to your computer. I think that's that small little logo there. And then also you can plug in a USB drive if you want and play local music files right off of this thing. Streaming codecs that this supports. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting here. Like you can do Spotify Connect, you can do Tidal Connect, you can stream directly from Qobuz and Apple Music and Amazon Music and all of that. You do that through an app, which I will show you here in just a moment. There. This also supports DLNA streaming. About the only streaming protocol it doesn't really support right now is Roon, okay, which you could argue is a little disappointing, but people paying $70 for a streaming unit probably are not Roon users, and the connection to those other apps and having Bluetooth is probably also more important. Also, this does AirPlay. Didn't mention that one. AirPlay is in here too. So a whole bunch of ways to get this $70 unit to connect to your system, again, either via Wi-Fi or Ethernet, or you can connect by Bluetooth if you want. Some touch sensitive buttons on the top. You see some like play, pause, and then like volume up, down if you want here. And then a push and hold button for power on, off. Back panel upside down real quick just because I have power plugged in. The USB-C input right here doubles as both the power input, like right now it's just connected to a 5-volt like phone charger kind of power supply, which is all you need. But that can also be a USB DAC connection right there, and it will draw the USB power from whatever computer you have this plugged into. Toast-Link optical digital output, an analog output. So this is a 3.5 millimeter single-ended connection. There is a DAC inside here as well. You can also do a 3.5 millimeter single-ended line input. They supply a Y cable in the box with this thing that is a 3.5 millimeter TRS at one end and then an RCA plug at the other end, a pair of RCA for left, right there. This is again a USB connection here for like a flash drive or a thumb drive that has music files on it. Plug that in there and you can play it there. And then of course the Ethernet, the RJ45 Ethernet connection there if you'd rather use this via wired connection. All right, if you're prone to turning your streamers on and off, I'll show you here. One thing to watch out for is when the unit is powered off and you want to go to power it on, particularly if you're on the Wi-Fi connection, is it can take just a beat for it to connect to Wi-Fi sometimes. There, see it's blinking at you like that. It'll blink fast, and then it'll slow its rate of blinkage in a moment. Like I said, this takes a while, and I'm showing you how long this thing takes to reconnect to your Wi-Fi once you do a power cycle. So if you were to lose power, or generally you just power your streamer off, which I wouldn't. Very small power draw, just leave it on. And now it's blinking slowly, finally, until eventually that light's going to go solid that shows you that it's connected. And I didn't set a timer here, but you can always just there it goes. Yeah, you can always just back the video up and count the number of seconds that goes on to get that to reconnect. All right, so that's just one little quirk to mention in terms of like features and all of that there. Remote control has some, so it has a remote control at $70. That's something to talk about. But then it also has like some options on it, like you see tone controls and like all that kind of thing on it. Okay, nice little added feature here. It's not like if you're not going to use the tone controls or the transport functionality from the unit itself, which if you're going to play files from a USB stick on it, you probably are going to use transport controls. But if you're streaming from another protocol, like from your phone or an iPad or whatever, then you may not need this as much, and you can use the remote control on what other device to control volume. But it's here, okay, which is quite impressive. All right. I do want to show you the app that it connects to. It's called 4Stream. Let me get my iPad out and set up for you here so you can see it. All right, had to pull the camera back and also turn off my light a little bit because it was glaring on the screen big time. All right, it's an app called 4Stream, okay, and it works on both Android and iOS just fine. As say that, there it goes. And as I said, look at all of these streaming service options that are on there. I am plugged into Qobuz. Let's see if it'll let me open it. Sometimes it's a little hey, there it goes. Okay, so all of Qobuz is there and all that, so that's nice. So it's the 4Stream app. I did not have any problems getting the 4Stream app to connect to the S10 Plus via either iOS or my Android phone, which is currently doing the filming right here. So that was nice and seamless. The other thing here that's nice is you can use Rune Arc, okay, and connect it via AirPlay. And I guess I didn't do it, but it does do AirPlay right there, so no problems. You can stream music from like Rune Arc on it. And the reason I want to show, hold on, I'm going to get this to connect here real quick and show you something. All right, I wanted to connect via AirPlay because there's an important point to make here that starts getting turning it towards sound here. So if we get this playing, you won't be able to hear it, but we see this high quality here in the Rune Arc app right here. And I just want to pull this up. What is streaming, and the reason that that track was playing is because I knew it was a 192 kilohertz track. And you see that this right here, what Rune is doing is it's downsampling the 192 kilohertz file to a 44.1 kilohertz file. to stream it out to the S10 Plus. Why does that matter? All right, let me turn it. I can get the iPad out of here. I don't really need it at the moment, but let me make a point about that. Just one moment. All right, turning the attention towards sound and why I just showed you that AirPlay and the downsampling stuff right there is this device really does not do bit perfect audio, which is one of the reasons why I said it's not really the entry-level true audiophile solution. From the digital output anyway, it will only output 44.1 kilohertz PCM files. So while the product literature says that this will handle up to 192 kilohertz PCM and it'll handle like DS or via DLNA anyway, the Audiophile app on my computer claimed that this would handle DSD64. It really only outputs the 44.1 right there. Also, it struggles a bit with 192 kilohertz files. What do I mean by that? If I try to stream a 192 kilohertz file from Qobuz, like I just showed you that corn track right there that I knew was a 192 kilohertz file, but I tried multiple 192 kilohertz streams from Qobuz through the 4Stream app into here, and it doesn't like those 192 kilohertz streams. There was a lot of like skipping in the track, like it was just clearly struggling to stream that. And it's not a Wi-Fi issue, right? Like this is, I think, also limited to 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but I was in multiple places where I was like within 10 feet of one of my router hotspots or satellites in there from a Netgear Orbi streaming network. Okay. So that wasn't an issue there. It's just that anytime this thing tried to do 192 kilohertz from Qobuz, it skipped a lot, had a lot of issues. And that was true whether I used the optical digital out or the analog line out there. However, via DLNA, using Audiophile as the player from a desktop computer, this does handle 192 kilohertz files fine, but it still downsamples the output to 44.1 kilohertz on there. AirPlay is nice, and one of the reasons I showed it to you is that you can stream 192 kilohertz files, but they like Rune Arc there was handling the down conversion. I think when this has to handle the down conversion, at least from the 4Stream app, it struggled. I don't know why, it just did. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. But also, I also tried to play DSD files to see if it would do DSD over PCM. No, okay, it doesn't. That didn't work well. At least not using Audiophile as the source app there. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Okay, so for me anyway, that's one of the reasons why this is not really the audiophile, entry-level, true audiophile streaming option for audiophiles, just to say audiophile a bunch and be from the Department of Redundancy department. Okay, because no bit perfect audio output, resamples everything to 44.1 kilohertz. Okay, and there were some issues from at least Qobuz through the 4Stream app handling high resolution files on there, because like it happened a lot on 192. I would also sometimes hear the skips on 96 and 88.2 tracks, just not as often as on the 192. But 44.1 and 48 seemed to work fine. Okay. Now let's really talk about the sound. I tried a couple of things. I tried the analog output here running into a Schiit Magni headphone amp, and then the digital output went to a couple of different devices. My Schiit Bifrost 2/64 into an Aoun S17 Pro headphone amp, and then various headphones from there. And then also I tried the optical input on my Cord Hugo 2 in there as well. And the Hugo 2 is what revealed that this thing does not do bit perfect output, because if you know the Hugo 2, it's got a color, different color light on it for different sampling rates, and it always just stayed right fixed on red, regardless of what was coming out of here, or what was going into here, and red just means 44.1 on that device. Okay, now, the sound is okay. The sound that comes out of this is decent. Like, it manages to not be overly harsh or bright or those kinds of things that a lot of entry-level devices do. There's a reasonable amount of smoothness and refinement to it. It's reasonably quiet in its sonic background. Fine details and spatial resolution are kind of where things suffer a little bit because, again, it's resampling everything to 44.1 kilohertz, and that can have an impact. It just is not the clearest when it comes to resolution, detail retrieval, or spatial holography. This really is more of a background listening kind of device. Okay, and so this sound description is going to be brief and to the point there, just to cover that. Like, I do not recommend this for serious audiophile critical listening, even on an entry-level budget system there. The internal DAC surprised me in terms of it also not being harsh, but it also just didn't sound quite as good as like what the digital output is capable of either. I mean, it's a very cheap entry-level DAC in there, so that is to be expected. Performance from Bluetooth was also okay. I keep hitting this an excess number of times. Performance from Bluetooth was also a little okay, but it just kind of generally sounded flat and lifeless in comparison to what was coming from the streaming input, okay, or the Wi-Fi or Ethernet input. I mostly used Wi-Fi. Okay, so all of that is to say that, like, again, not for serious audiophiles to do critical listening, even at an entry level, but very easy to connect to. And very easy to use with that 4Stream app or with AirPlay or with Spotify Connect. Like, I didn't have any issues playing Spotify directly to this from my phone using Spotify Connect or anything like that. And it has Bluetooth on it. The only tricky thing about going from Wi-Fi streaming to Bluetooth is you either have to remember to switch the input using this button here, or you have to use the remote control. So that's the one added step that if you're going to use this in a family setting, like I said, this is probably going into my kitchen, where any of the four of us who live in this house, okay, me, the significant other, the two sons, okay, could connect to this while they're cooking, cleaning, or doing whatever in the kitchen or the living room area where that sound system is frequently used. And I do mean frequently. Okay, it gets used a lot up there. Okay, but that's what this is for, I think. And that's where its value is, and that's how I will be using, and that's where it will get my recommendation as an easy to use, decent but not great sounding, but good enough for background listening while you're doing something else or sharing music with your family so that the whole family can connect to this, not all at the same time, of course, but if like lots of codecs supported so that anyone in the house can use it and all of that sort of thing. That's where it's going to get my recommendation, and that's how I'm going to use it. All right. Now, there are other budget streamers out there, namely the Weem Mini. Hello, reflection on there. Hi, everyone. Okay, this is going to get a review here very soon. Then I'll do a comparison between these two and the FiiO SR11 Plus, which is another entry-level streamer that's out there right now. So look forward to those soon, and then I will do more fleshed out comparisons of this to those other devices. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I am Wave Theory. This has been my review of the Arylic S10 Plus little streamer preamplifier gizmo here. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Check out my PayPal and my Patreon, and generally do those things you do to support YouTube channels. And as always, enjoy the music.